Hi everyone, in this video I'll give you my random thoughts after my reread of Deadhouse Gates Book 2 of the Malazan Book of the Fallen. First of all, this book should have been called Chain of Dogs. Deadhouse Gates is a good name, but the Deadhouse isn't the takeaway storyline from this book. Probably not even second place. The Chain of Dogs. On my first read, and I guess this is quite a common experience, the Chain of Dogs was at the center of everything. It kind of drew all the oxygen out of the room and it became hard to focus on all the other stuff that was going on. This time though, it was kind of hard to invest fully in that storyline, knowing full well what was to come. It was hard to engage emotionally knowing how horrible this all is going to end. Another thing about the Chain of Dogs that became apparent on a reread was how this epic and tragic feat had absolutely no impact whatsoever on the overarching story. Thematically though, it fits perfectly with the main theme of the series. And as A.P. Canavan pointed out in one of his videos, knowing before you start the series who the author, or the narrator rather, is, that shines a light on what stories this narrator puts forward. So, no, there are no greater implications for the conflicts between the gods that is happening behind the scenes. It's just a bunch of people getting caught in the middle, and then Coltane and his Wiccans trying to save as many people as possible because it's the right thing to do. When I read this a second time around, I recalled Tavor's speech to her troops in the Glass Desert later on in the series, rallying them, asking them to do the impossible because it is the right thing to do, even though no one will witness, no one will tell of their sacrifice. I mean, at least Coltane has Duiker, the historian, with him, but as we later learn, Duiker really has no impact on how these events are remembered. Even when he arrives behind the safe walls of Aren, the noble refugees and Corbel Odom are already putting their own spin to this story. But as I said, knowing the fate of the Chain of Dogs made me focus more on all the other amazing stuff that is going on in this book as well. Starting already in the prologue with one of my favorite character arcs in this entire series. At some point, not that long ago, within the Malazan fandom, there was this strange debate about Felicin. I hope that is over. I mean, you may not enjoy how the character is written, you may not enjoy the time you spend with her on the page, but there is no way you can blame a young teenager. I mean, what is she? 14, 15. She's a child. Severely traumatized, sent into slavery by her sister, nonetheless, mentally broken, physically abused, addicted to drugs. You cannot, under any circumstances, blame her for acting out. That you just can't. As I said, Felicin is one of my favorite characters, one of the best storylines to follow, short and tragic as it is. The way she enters the whirlwind, this broken girl, and comes out as Shaik Reborn, that is something. That is, yeah. And also, as I mentioned in my Gardens of the Moon video, she's kind of the catalyst for everything that comes afterwards. Tavor had a plan for her, and as that plan failed in this horrible, gut-wrenching fashion later on in House of Chains, Tavor is being set on the trajectory that takes her to the events at the end of the main series, as I wanna interpret things, at least. So yeah, after my first read, this was one of my top 3 favorite books in this series. That did not change after a reread. It's a strong contester for the best book of the series after my first read, and I liked it even more the second time around. So what else was there to like here? Mappo and Icarium, of course, Iskar I'll post more favorite characters just everywhere all the time. No, I don't have the time to speak in depth about them currently. I'm sure I'll get back to at least Mappa and Icarium later on. I still didn't get all the ins and outs of the Path of Hands thing though, but it sure helped that I had read it once before and knew enough to make more sense of it this time around. I still think the plan in itself was a little bit far-fetched. Well, you know, it seemed to work. So what do I know? Fiddler and the Tano Spirit Walker song shell thing. Given the extreme importance of this event and what it leads to, it seemed a bit random to me, but I don't know. My favorite part of the book, apt. Love apt. How can you not love apt? One of the best scenes in the entire series is when Kalan stumbles upon one of the most horrendous scenes you'll ever read. Not described in as much details as I remembered. I mean, detailed enough for sure, but just images that these descriptions conjure up. I'm talking about the dead children, of course. I love how Kalam wishes that he could save them, not realizing that the demon escorting him overheard his thoughts and made his wish come true. And how poor, sweet, three-legged, one-eyed apt adopts one of the children and transforms the boy's face to look more like her. Because, I mean, horrible, because he got fangs now and a cyclopean eye in his forehead. But, you know, that's from an outside perspective here. This demon just wanting to kind of be a mom, have someone to care for. I mean, if there's something we learn from this demon and from Pearl in Guardians of the Moon, you know, pity me. No, do you pity me? That quote. We have the demon in Deadhouse Gates that I forgot the name of. The one that Troll saves, who was just out fishing. But anyway, if there's anything we learn from the Malazan Book of the Fallen, it's that demons are people too. And Apt is a adorable demon. Another part I wanted to mention, because it says so much about Erikson's writing, is when it takes like half a page, or was it more than that, and he tells the story of a city just to end it all, telling us that that is the place where Fiddler is currently standing. So Fiddler is standing in a place, and, you know, instead of just describing where he stands, he gives us the entire backstory and the importance of that very spot where Fiddler is currently standing. Every place our character passes, under every footstep there is a history, something told. Sometimes it's told, sometimes it's forgotten. I heard a booktuber use this particular section, or rather discussed this section as a tipping point that made them quit the series. Did that make sense, what I just said? This booktuber quit the series, and this passage was one of the reasons, the one I just told you about. Because they thought that, you know, Erikson, do you really need to explain all of this and show off that, yes, we have, you need to give us all these details for a place where we're just passing through? And, well, no need, I guess. But those paragraphs, in those paragraphs, there's a lot to be learned about the history of that place. And you can use that description to make educated guesses of the mentality of the inhabitants, their history. It isn't just showing. It's not just showing off. It's providing background for an important setting, and Erikson does that masterfully. Yeah. Well, what can I say? I'm a fanboy. I love this book. Even better on a reread. It's great, of course. I should just stop talking right now. and go kill that mule. See you later.